Welcome if you are joining us on YouTube. Really glad to have you here. I am streaming from a Zoom call, so welcome to you if you have just joined. Really glad to have you here. We'll start properly in about 5 minutes or so. But if you want to come and just get ready, grab yourself a cup of tea, get yourself comfy. These are the only things that you will need for this workshop. So all you would need is a pen. That can be a fine liner or a biro, whatever you have near. Some paper, again, this can be any kind of paper. And then optional, you can use a brush pen if you own one, or if you own a pointed felt tip, so something like a Crayola felt tip pen will suffice. Those are optional, you don't necessarily need those. But do have a pen and paper nearby, grab yourself a cup of tea. If you have any questions, do pop them in the YouTube chat and our moderator will feed them back to me. But yeah, really excited for you to be joining us. Maddie will be giving us a testimony later and we'll introduce Maddie a bit later on. So look forward to that. But for now, all you need to worry about is get yourself comfortable, grab a cup of tea. It's going to be a super chill hour or so. And we're just going to learn how to do some calligraphy, some modern calligraphy all together. So make sure you have a pen handy, some paper handy, and get yourself comfy, and we'll be back shortly. Great, thank you so much for joining us today. You can't currently see me, I am here. Hello, my name is Naomi. I work with Brunel Christian Union to help them run events like this. We are so glad that you're joining in today, whether you're watching us live or you are watching us back, you are so welcome. Do tag us on Instagram as we go through this event. We would love to see some of the creations or the things that you've learned during this event. So please do follow us at Brunel CU. Do tag us and follow us. Just to reiterate these things, all you will need is a pen and a piece of paper at the very least. We wanted to make sure that anyone could join in, and I'm sure that everyone at least owns a pen. So do have those handy and nearby. If you have one, you might want to join in and use a brush pen, or if you have a pointed felt tip, Crayola normally have these. Those are optional, you don't need those, but keep those nearby if you would like to use those. So a running order of this event, I'm going to be teaching you basically some modern calligraphy tips and tricks. I am by no means a professional, as you can probably tell from this welcome screen, but I'll be teaching you more about modern calligraphy, so brush lettering, faux calligraphy and script writing. So I'm really excited for that. And halfway through, we're going to hear a testimony, which is the story about someone's faith. And Maddie, who is a part of the CU, will be sharing those stories. I'll just be asking her some questions and we'll be hearing about why she's a Christian and how she has got to where she is today. So look forward to that. But for now, we are just going to crack straight on. So grab your pieces of paper, grab your pens, have them nearby. If you have any questions, pop them into the YouTube stream, or if you're in the Zoom call, just pop them straight into the Zoom chat. And I will try to answer them as best as possible. So first of all, there is some key top tips to learn about calligraphy. The kind of main rule for nearly all calligraphy, whether it's brush lettering, whether it's this kind of lettering, even your more traditional types of calligraphy, there's one kind of main rule for most of them. And that is this. So when you are on a downstroke, you want thicker lines, and when you're on an upstroke, you want thinner lines. Now, how you do that is through pressure. This takes a lot of practice, so don't worry if you don't get this straight away. I've been doing calligraphy of some degrees, of varying degrees of techniques and stuff for the past few years, and it's just taken a lot of practice and time, so don't worry if you're not good today. It's all good. It takes time and practice. If you have a brush pen, you might want to grab that out. I would recommend these ones. These are the Tombow dual-ended pens. They've got a brush pen that looks a bit like this on one end, and then they've got also a regular felt tip on the other. These are really helpful because they are built to be really flexible when you're using them on paper. So it gives them really thick lines, but also these thin lines when you're going up. So very first thing that you might want to do if you've got a brush pen, but also if you've got a Crayola or a pointed tip like this, looks a bit like that. We're just going to practice this very, very quickly. Just simply by applying pressure. Now, how you hold the pen is actually really important. So you might hold a pen quite close like this. It's not really resting on anything. It's quite flexible. When you're doing thick and thin lines, you want your pen to be further up, but also trying to rest it in here. So you know how you maybe hold chopsticks, kind of rest here, you have your thumb here, and then you have your other chopstick on top. That's how you want the pen to be. Just because this gives you much more flexibility in getting closer to the paper. So it allows you to push down on that pen and then pull it down to form a bigger line. I'll just do that again. So make sure it's in the crux of your hand, holding it like this, a bit closer to the top, maybe more in the middle. Apply a good amount of pressure, don't be afraid to push down, and then drag that down. So that's with a brush pen. If you have a Crayola pen, this is a super cheap one just from the works. You can get the same sort of effect, hold it similar way, and you might need to apply more pressure because they're not made for this sort of design. But just push down and you'll still get a thicker line. So that's your down strokes. You want to be applying less pressure on your up strokes. So you might want to readjust how you're holding it. When you get good at calligraphy, you'll end up rolling your pen along a bit like this for the different down and up strokes. So when you're going up, it's a lot lighter and you get thinner strokes on the up strokes. I'll just show you that with a brush pen. So you've got your down strokes, which are thinner, rolling my pen over, and then a lot less pressure on the up strokes. And that is like the #1 golden rule of any kind of brush or calligraphy. Down strokes are thicker, so apply a lot more pressure. Up strokes are a lot thinner and you apply just very little pressure, so it gets right just at the end of your tip. So that's your #1 rule. You are now all professional calligraphists, so I'm very excited to see your creations. The other rule, this isn't a rule for all calligraphy, is how you write your R's. Now, you are more than welcome to write your R's in a normal way. You can achieve the same sort of thing with a normal R, but you might want to try doing it this way. You'll particularly see this here in the word brush and in the word lettering. When you're doing script writing like this, it just flows a lot better. It's a lot fancier. And how you do that is very simple. Looks a bit like this. You want to start with the tail, bring it up and loop it around. And then you're going to come and then it's going to go straight here, not for too much, just a little bit of a straight line. So it looks a bit like that. And then you're just going to come straight back down with a little flick at the bottom. And that looks a bit weird by itself, but in a word, it just makes it a lot easier to flow on from the next letter going up and down. You can see that here with the E as well. So that's an example of how to do an R. Again, you can still do it like this. It just might become a bit bunched up, and I've given a small example there. So I'd recommend practicing this when you can. It might feel a bit weird at first trying to write an R like this, but eventually you'll be able to do it super quickly. So those are my two kind of key examples, two rules in brush lettering. So I'll show you a quick example on the side here. I'm just going to use a brush pen. Feel free to use your, if you have a different kind of felt tip. I'm just going to show you what that might look like. Today we're just going to use the word Brunel because it shows you lots of the different techniques all in one word, which is quite handy, isn't it? So I'm just going to draw the word Brunel pretty quickly, and then you'll get an idea of what this might look like when you flow all of these different techniques together. So I'll try to do it slowly so you can get a good idea of what's going on. So for the B, it's thicker, apply more pressure, going up to form a curve, so it's thin, back down, and then thinner, so we're going to go back up. Going to do an R, so we're going to curve round, down stroke, so it's a bit thicker, to thin on the straight line, and then down, apply more pressure. We're going to go up for the U, and then bring it back down, thick stroke, up, so light pressure, back down to form the other side of the U, thin, thick, and more pressure. For the N, you want to bring this back up, a little flick at the end of the U. Going to bring it back down, so apply pressure, up, less pressure, down, more pressure. So N, E, across, less pressure, and then you bring it around, and as it's coming around, you want to start applying that pressure. So you've got the thicker line. And then finally, I'm going to encroach on this lettering word up here. So bring it straight down, and then flick it up. Super easy. That's not particularly neat, but gives you a good idea of how those two techniques come together. So we've got the thick lines, thinner lines when we're going up, and you just do that by applying pressure for thicker ones, less pressure for up strokes. Very, very simple. So that's a very, very, very brief introduction to some basic brush lettering techniques. We're going to move on to faux calligraphy. So this is something that everyone can do. If you have a biro, a pen and some paper, anyone can do faux calligraphy. Faux calligraphy is super duper simple. It's my favorite thing to do because it doesn't require any fancy techniques. So I've written faux calligraphy up here. And in order to achieve these downstrokes, we simply colour in the thicker strokes. And I'm going to show you how you do that with this example. So we've got Brunel again. If you want, write out Brunel. You don't have to do all the fancy lettering. You can just write it as you normally would, but make sure the letters are separate because that will help when you come to join them all together and makes it a bit easier as you're learning. So I'll give you just 10 seconds, just write out Brunel, either copy how I've done it here with like the fancy flicks and the tails, and then I'm going to show you how we achieve this and some tips and tricks to use in that. And if you want, you don't have to use the word Brunel. Maybe you've done a bit of calligraphy before. Why not try doing your own name or doing a different word? Yeah, it's up to you. But I'm going to just give you some tips and tricks on how to get these thicker lines without using a brush pen. So like I said, all you will need is your fine liner. I use these are the Unipin fine line ink. They come in different sizes as well. This is a 0.3. This is kind of your standard fine liner. So if you use like a Stabilo or any kind of fine liner, you'll probably find that they're a 0.3. You can get a lot thinner ones for finer details and a lot thicker ones, depending on what you're doing. But if you're interested, if you care, that's what I use. It's very, very easy. So, faux calligraphy. What you're going to do is basically following the same technique. If you're just a beginner, I would recommend kind of tracing over, not touching it, but tracing over these letters, and it will help you get a good idea of when those downstrokes are going to happen. So, working on this B at the beginning of Brunel, this is all upstroke, so we know that we don't need to add anything there. But as we're coming to the top of the B, we know that this is about to come down. So you want to put your pen just as that curve is about to come round onto the downstroke. You're going to follow it out and try to keep the same thickness all the way down until it changes direction here, and then you're just going to join it up. So that's the downstroke. So you just join it, follow it out to the side, and then join it up. My top recommendation for when drawing these lines is try to do it on the outside of the letter. So don't, particularly in curves, try not to do it on the inside because it can be quite hard to correct it. And then it kind of ruins this natural curve that you've already made. So where possible, try to do it on the outside of a letter. And there's a few exceptions to the rule, and I'll go over those in a second. So carrying on with this B, this is all up. And we can see that this is about to be a downstroke here. So you want to put the pen to the paper just where it's about to become the downstroke. Bring it out to the side. Bring it down, keep that thickness the same until it starts to come back in here. And then you want to join it back up again. And that's that. There you go. And then you essentially do this for all of your letters. So I'll go through the next few letters a bit quicker. So this is all up, up, up. It's about to become a down, so we're just going to pull it out slightly. And then we can see that this is about to become straight again. So you want to pull it in quite quickly, otherwise you'll get quite a thick line here. So you're going to pull that in so that it becomes straight again. Then on the outside of the letter, so this side of the R, this is all a downstroke straight away. So you're just going to pull it out, pull down and join with that flick at the bottom. Similar for the U, instead of going on this side of the letter, we're going to go on this side of the line. That will help disguise this join here and give you more room on the inside if you need to make any corrections. So you're just going to pull that out, draw it down, and then you can see about here, it's about a quarter of the way up, it's going to come back down, and you want this little bit at the bottom to be going back So straight as we go back up onto that upstroke. So you're just going to bring that in just before the bottom so that it joins nicely at the bottom. Now here's an exception to the rule. You want to kind of mask this join here. So you want to, instead of doing it on this side, you want to do it on this side. Bring it in, pull it back down, and then pull it back in. So that will, if you make any mistakes on this side, you've still got room on the outside to correct it, but you've also masked this line here. Same for the N. Start on the upstroke, going down, pull it back down. That's a downstroke, so it needs to be thicker. Up, 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 up. There's about to be a downstroke, which will be thicker, so you want to pull it out from that curve, draw it back down, and join with the flick at the bottom. That's a bit messy. Upstroke is about to become a downstroke on a curve, so start where the curve starts to turn, pull it down, keep that thickness the same, and then bring it in just before this curve at the bottom. Same for the L, all upstroke here, bring it out of the curve, keep the thickness the same, start to bring it in just before that curve at the bottom. And there you go. That's a simple way that you start off making this kind of calligraphy. All you need to do then is fill in these bits here. So now I've shown you kind of the technique or the way that you achieve this. I'm just going to do a little design at the bottom. So I'll probably just do Brunel joined together. And then whilst we're colouring in these blank sections, we're going to hear from Maddie. So I'm just going to quickly do Brunel all joined together. You can see with your letters separated, you can kind of see where these joins are going to come as well. So I'll just do some quick dotted lines to show you where they might join if you want to draw along with me. So this will join up to the U, where that tail was at the beginning. This will join up to here. The N will join up to the E, and the E joins up to the L there. So that gives you a good idea of how this all could flow together to achieve this kind of effect here. So I'm just going to quickly do this. You don't have to be using the word Brunel, you could be using your own name, you could be using something else, totally up to you. This is just a way to show you some different techniques. I've got to say, this is also showing you how the R, the different kind of R comes into calligraphy as well. So just making all those downstrokes thick lines. And then all you need to do, it looks a bit messy at the moment, but once you've filled in all of these sections, so you want to be filling in all of your downstrokes and colouring those in with the same colour that you used to write the word. It will look a lot neater and it'll look like that. So please do carry on colouring in these sections if you want to make that look all nice. I'm just going to hand over to Maddie, so onto a testimony. Joseph, if you wouldn't mind just spotlighting my face so people can see me, and Maddie, that would be great. Great. Hopefully you can all see me. I'd love to just introduce Maddie to us as well. Maddie is part of the CU. Maddie, do you want to just tell us a bit about yourself? Who are you? What do you study? Where are you from? All those fun questions.
Well, name said it. I'm Maddie. I study business management and marketing. I'm in my second year at Brunel. And I'm in Surrey right now with my parents because pandemic. So yeah, that's about it.
Great. I've just got a few questions for you about your faith. So my first question is, what was your first encounter with Christianity?
So I didn't grow up in a Christian home. So the first time I experienced Christianity was when I was in year 6, I think. I got invited to this youth group with all my friends. And I went along because it was really cool, because it was fun youth group, and then at the end they just talk a little bit from one of the gospels, and I kind of just sat down, shut up, and was respectful, because I wasn't a Christian, but all my friends were there, and that was something fun I did. So at the end I would just put up with the Christianity part of it, because it was still a fun place to be.
Right.
Yeah.
And obviously you're at uni now, you're president of the CU. What has been happening in the past few years to lead you to where you are now? What has the Lord been doing in your life?
I think he just kept showing up, which is, yeah, I kept going to youth group, and I kept hearing it, and finally started listening and processing things. And then I moved house, and I got a new school and a new country, because I'd been living in America. It was this big, scary move that was just very intimidating, and I didn't really know what was going on. But God stayed constant in that, and I didn't really realize until I sat down and looked back at it. And where my new school was, there was the exact same youth group I'd been in from my old school, and all of these things, and I kind of just sat down and realized that I hadn't been left alone in it, and this was still a big and scary thing, but God had me through it the whole time. And it was, yeah, really cool. And so I started having more conversations with my youth group leaders and people from church, and yeah, just really digging into it and getting to know, and now I'm here. So yeah.
Right, that's really encouraging. Thank you so much for sharing. My last question is, what would you say to a non-Christian who's tuning into the stream now or is just watching back later?
I would say just start wondering and listening. When I was in year 6, and I was just at my youth group, I very much was very tuned out, and didn't, and I wish I'd listened earlier, because it's life-changing news, and it's really exciting. And yeah, you just get to just experience this whole thing if you listen, and ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions either. I think sometimes we set up these Zoom calls, and we're very much oh, we're Christians, come, and it's no, come and just ask. I ask them questions all the time, fully, and yeah, we just want to answer your questions, and we want to talk to you and make friends with you. Yeah, so definitely come.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing a bit of your story, Maddie. If you have questions for Maddie, we would love to hear them. Pop them on our Instagram. Our Instagram is @Brunel CU, and I'm sure Maddie would love to chat to you. Can I encourage you though, if you're listening today, why not tune into some of the other stuff the Brunel CU is putting on this week? Maddie was saying how it's important to ask questions, and we want to give you that opportunity. We want to spark some more conversation. So why not check out the Brunel CU Instagram page? This event today is part of a whole host of things that is happening over the next 2 weeks. We would love to see you join in. We are currently streaming from a Zoom call. If you would like to join that Zoom call, we would love to have you here and invite you into the community. There's so many more stories just like Maddie's that can be shared, and we would love for you to hear some of them. So do get in touch. We would love to chat to you. If someone on one of our moderators, if you could pop the feedback form into the chat, that'd be really helpful. Even if you're not a student or you're just tuning into this event, if you're a non-Christian, we would love to hear from you. So please do fill out our feedback form, so you can tell us about how you found this event, and we can get in contact with you as well. If you have any questions about calligraphy, please do let me know. I think the stream is a little bit behind from me actually talking, so it might take a while for those questions to come in. I'm going to stick around for a little bit longer, but if anyone does have any questions on Zoom or on the YouTube chat, please do let me know. I hope all is going well with your own designs though. This is just a little one that I did for the testimony time. If my hands could be spotlighted again, that'd be great. Another technique to just show you is this drop shadowing that you should be able to see. You can just about see it. Just make sure your text stand out pretty well. You can do that on faux calligraphy. You don't have to have used a brush pen. So on your designs, you might want to try doing this drop shadow. Essentially, you want to imagine your text has just shifted maybe a centimetre to your left and up slightly. And that's how you achieve these lines here. So you're drawing underneath, but also to the side. So where it's moved to the left and up, you get these lines that you can draw in with a different colour pen on the sides. So that's another little technique for you there. Here's an example. Here's a blue piece a moment. Here's one I did earlier. Living Your Best Life is the name of the events week that is happening at the moment. So I've just combined these two different styles of text. So we've got used a brush pen for this, then used my fine liner here, and then added a drop shadow on these bits. I hope that's been helpful. Would love to see some of the designs and what you've come up with. Would love to see your Brunel drawings, if you've done Brunel, or if you've done your name or something else. Do tag us on Instagram so we can see your beautiful designs. I'm sure they look amazing. We would love to see you joining in. And even if you're watching this live stream back, we would still love to see them. Whatever time this is that you're tuning in, please do tag us at Brunel CU on Instagram. We would love to have your questions. Let's see if there's any questions in Zoom. There is not. If there's any questions on YouTube, please do send them in. If not, I think that's all I have for you now. Thank you so much for joining in. We would love to see you again at the other events. We've got some other events coming up this week. Tomorrow at 7:30 we have a cook along. We will be cooking brownies all together, which is very exciting. Some of us will be cooking along on Zoom together, but it will also be live streamed to this YouTube channel again. So do tune in at 7:30. Again, if you would like to join our Zoom chat, you are more than welcome. Just pop us a message on Zoom and we'll be happy to help, on Instagram, sorry, and we'll be happy to help. So that's tomorrow, and we've got some other events coming up next week. The fun doesn't stop. There is a whole schedule on the Instagram if you want to check those out. So please do have a look at that. Fill out the feedback form that should be in the YouTube chat. If not, we can send that onto our Instagram page as well. We would love to hear from you. If you have any questions about what Maddie raised or any questions about Christianity, we would love for you to get in touch. There is no such thing as a silly question. We would love to answer anything that you would like to ask about Christianity and faith. Please don't be scared. Do get in touch. We're a friendly bunch, I promise. So we would love to see you soon. But for now, tune in next week for another craft session. Next week, I am teaching you how to make paper cranes, which will look a little bit like this when you're done. If you've received boxes from the CU, there's some very nice paper in those. If not, you can grab any kind of paper you want. It works with absolutely any kind of paper. So tune in same time next week to learn how to make one of these and hear another testimony next week. But for now, that is all. Thank you so much for joining in, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks very much.
Hello.